Welcome to the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Terry Morrow.
And I'm Catherine Haleko.
Every Thursday, we're bringing you a library find, a pick from our archives, and a parenting or pop culture tidbit or two. Let's start with Catherine's Library Find of the Week.
So this week's find is a novel called Glassworks by Olivia Wolfgang Smith. And this is definitely noticed it because of its cover book.
Okay.
It has this bright orange kind of stained glass looking cover.
Yes.
And so
I catch my eye.
I saw it and I read the blurbs and I was like, this sounds interesting. And so I did, I actually listened to the audiobook, and I can't 100% recommend it, but because it was very uneven. It's basically four connected stories.
Okay.
About four kind of generations of people.
Like panes in a window.
Yeah, and they all are connected to glass in different ways.
And there was a bee on the cover, which would cause me to want to put it down, or a wasp.
Yes, that there's a bee.
A stinging insect of some sort.
The bee is important.
Okay.
Obviously,
I would hope so if it made it to the cover.
It made it on the cover. Yeah. So I mean, some of the four are more interesting than others, and just better told stories. And some of the reviews I read agreed with, said the same thing, that especially the first one was my favorite and was a lot also mentioned in other reviews. And the first one was set in 1910. And I just, I liked that one as well. I always like historical fiction, and even the other 2 out of the 3 remaining ones were also, one was 1938 and one was 1986. So it wasn't like they were set in the present, but anyway, it was still worth listening to and thinking about, this motif of glass that went through it. The first story was about a glassblower who made scientific models. And then the second one was his son, who kind of wanted to be a priest. This poor, sad little teen. He was raised with completely no religion at all, and basically very little parenting. I mean, he was kind of left to his own devices, and he would go to church and he felt at home, and he started to feel like he belonged, even though he would never talk to anyone. He just liked being in churches. And he finishes high school and he thinks he can go to seminary. He's probably never been to a Catholic mass, and he tries to go to seminary, and they're like, "Honey, this isn't going to work." They try to let him down easy, but So anyway, he goes to work for a maker of stained glass, and thinking maybe I can kind of work in a church. I just won't be a priest. And then the next story, the person is a window washer, in high-rise, skyscrapers. And then the last one, the main character works in a business that takes people's ashes, people's cremains, and puts them into glass-blown, orbs.
Oh my goodness.
But you're not allowed to call them paperweights. That's a thing in the story. Don't call it a paperweight. So anyway, that's kind of how the glass goes through it. So you can think of all the different ways that glass is used. I mean, there's more. They didn't even cover all the ways of glass. I will say that the ending it just stopped. Like,
oh.
And it was one of those things where, because I was listening to it as an audiobook, yes, I roughly knew that, like, it was getting close to the end. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't fully paying attention. Whereas if you were reading a book, it's very clear that the end is coming. And this one, it just got to like, thank you for listening to.
Wait,
like, what? Hold on.
Did I skip a track?
Yeah.
Did I hit something accidentally?
Yeah. So that's
alarming.
Disappointing. But it does allow you to think, well, okay, this is what I think happened next.
Yes.
And finish it in a way that feels suitable to you.
This is what I miss about audiobooks, is the signposts that you get with the paper book.
Right.
And the fact that you can kind of flip ahead and see, where is this going? And it's just ending like that? Oh, well. Mm-hmm. I'll not be shocked. You shouldn't do that. Don't do that, people. I completely do and always do. And if I don't like where it ends, I possibly don't read it. But so maybe that's... Audiobooks are a good punishment for me, because you gotta listen all the way to the end to find out you don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't say it's not that I didn't like this. It just was a very mixed bag, I would say.
Okay.
But then, just as I was listening to it over the last few days, then it showed up on the staff picks table at the library.
Oh, wow.
From someone else. So we've now had several conversations about it. And they were like, well, after I read that, I had to read like sort of a self-helpy, like affirmations and, like short little poems and and pep talks, because there was quite a bit of gloom and sadness in this book.
You're really selling this thing.
I know, but sometimes the library find is
true.
It's not necessarily what you expect.
It's not always uplifting.
Yeah.
If you've watched the show about the guy locked in a hotel, and you've watched the show about the people trapped on the island, and you want a little something to lighten your mood, this is not it.
This is not it. But maybe you have something that will
happy
cheer
fun
us
podcast. Up. Well, I am going to recommend something that, as I'm talking about, is not yet out, but will be by the time you are listening to this.
Okay.
And that is the latest album. Do we still call them albums? Is album still a word that we use?
Sure.
I'm feeling old, because I think album, and I think big, round, black thing made out of wax in a huge cardboard cover with lots of pictures and lyrics. And that is a thing that, if it exists at all, exists barely. Collection of songs.
There's people
digital assemblage. Well, Taylor Swift sells 5,000 different variations on physical merch, but I don't think that's how people completely consume her stuff. I think they just buy those to put on their shelf.
Yeah, there's definitely people who collect vinyl and who enjoy vinyl.
Yeah, but she does them in all different colors. It's supposed to be black. Anyway, I love you, Taylor. Anyway, one of my favorite artists who I've spoken about here before is Hardy, who is sort of partially the way through his morphing from a country artist to a hard rock artist, and he's kind of just mixing the two in a way I find delightful, especially when I'm in a mood to listen to something really loud and screamy with lots of F words. So he has a new album out. I'm an old lady. Album out called Quit, with 2 exclamation points. And it's inspired by, apparently he was playing in a bar in his early days, and when he went through his tip jar, somebody had written quit on a napkin and put it in there. And so,
man, harsh.
Yeah. So he has a song, really more of a rap about that. And then a collection of songs. About 5 of them have already dropped, and I've listened to them and enjoy them. So I am looking forward to listening to the whole collection, which you can do right now as you're listening to this. And I am jealous. Today, recording me is jealous because I cannot yet. It's coming out tonight, actually tomorrow as we record this. So go take a listen to that, especially, maybe if you've been reading a lot of gloomy stuff and you just want to be able to scream.
Yeah.
This would be a good one to do it to. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure there's lots of screaming. I enjoy that. I enjoy a good scream. He does it well. So, yay, Hardy. Congratulations on the new collection of musical selections. And also, last week I mentioned my Substack, which will be dropping every Thursday. And one just dropped as we're recording this, and another one will have dropped by the time you're listening to this. So go check that out, too. I hope it does not make you scream. But you know what? Who knows?
You wanted to, prompt discussion and entertainment, right?
Yeah. The one we're dropping as we record this today is about obnoxious things being on in a doctor's waiting room when you're captive. So I pretty much felt like screaming when I saw the news was on. But,
and you can relate to the protagonists of both Lost and
yes.
Gentlemen in Moscow.
Right.
Because they are captives.
That is true, but they don't have the news on, so they're a little better than me, but
That's
still.
Right.
And they're not getting needles stuck in their eyes yet.
Better yet.
So. Well, what are we going to talk about this week from our extensive and ridiculous archives?
This week, we are throwing it back to July of 2020.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember those days?
I remember those captives. Speaking of being captive.
Yes, I remember
exactly.
those days. So we did an episode called Simply Refusing to Simplify, and we were responding to a video about minimalism, which was saying that there were 10 things that we should simplify.
Oh, my goodness. We can't even do one.
Too many. You need to simplify your list.
Yes, absolutely.
Because these are the things, okay?
Were they giving you the option to just pick one, or did this individual really think we were going to do 10?
I believe they were suggesting that we
Speaking to people who need to simplify, they imagine that these people can handle 10 things.
Yeah.
All right. So right away we see a problem.
Right. Exactly. We see a big problem.
Understand your audience, lady.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these 10 things in this video were possessions. Okay, I mean, that's like what you think of first,
yes,
right?
That's what we all need to know we need to do when we don't. Okay.
Time commitments. Like, well, sure. I mean...
Quit your job, sell your children,
exactly.
And just stay home.
Your third thing is your goals. I guess that's what's driving your time commitments and your possessions is
Can I trim
goals.
the goal of simplifying? Can I get rid of that one?
I would like to get rid of that one. Negative thoughts, no problem there. Easy peasy. Just stop doing that.
So this person's writing an annoying article and they're saying, don't you have negative thoughts? Get rid of those negative thoughts. I know what you're thinking right now, but that's simplify. Simplify.
Mm-hmm. The next one is we should simplify our debt.
Okay.
Piece
of cake.
Okay, sure, no problem. Again, these are at odds with one another because our time
yes,
committed to our earning money.
Yes.
The next one is words. This is where we start getting into the listicle problem. You should simplify your words by keeping your speech plain and honest. Mean what you say. Avoid gossip. How does that simplify your life?
There's at least 30% too many words in that.
Yeah, and I think you're reaching. Stay in your lane.
Yes, it really is. And how many words was this listicle? I think.
Well, it was a video.
Oh, it was a video. Yeah. Well, listen, take your own advice.
Yep. Yeah. 10 things. Come on.
Yeah.
The next one was
listicle disease.
The next one is artificial ingredients. Again.
So making all your own food so you don't have the artificial ingredients is going to solve your time commitment problem. How?
And your debt problem.
And your debt problem. Mm-hmm. And your negative thoughts problem. I think that would create many more.
Right.
And your possessions, because you have to get all the different gadgets that would allow you to make things
that's right.
You could just pick up in a box much more easily.
Right.
Oh, my.
The next one is screen time, which is Rich coming from a YouTube video.
Not this screen. We don't mean this screen. We mean those other screens.
The next one is simplify your connections. And I had to write down what it said about this. Relationships with others are good, but constant distraction is bad. Focus on the important, not the urgent. This is word salad. What are you talking about?
Really
How does this simplify your life?
It really is number 9 on a listicle, and the deadline is coming up, and you're like, oh, crap, I don't have anything to say.
I do not understand this.
I'm sorry, Aunt Mary. I'm simplifying my relationships. Please never contact me again. Right. How do you do that exactly? You're just this is ghosting people is what they're saying, right?
Yeah. I think you're right.
And so negative thoughts will be coming at you for sure, whether you have any or not.
Yeah.
Gads. But, it'll cut down on your commitments because you won't have any friends to spend time with. And,
oh, brother.
Yikes.
And then the final one was simplify your life by not multitasking. That's the one I think that we talked about a lot on our past episode. Yeah, sure. Easy for you to say.
I mean,
sir.
If you simplified everything else, then I guess you wouldn't have that much to do other than, make your own everything. But don't be watching a screen while you're making that applesauce from scratch because,
you better not listen to any podcasts.
Nope. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope that this person who is obviously Amish enjoys...
Except for the YouTube part.
Somebody must have secretly recorded it. Tis a gift to be simple, and all. But no. Thank you. No.
Yeah. and the thing that
I enjoy my overstuffed life, and the task of simplifying it is more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah. And as we talked about last time around, and every time I review these things, it's like you could do this, but your entire family has to be fully on board.
Yes. Which no,
it's certainly not happening at this address. So yeah. I would be fine with cutting down some possessions, but they're not mine to cut down.
And again, on the topic of listicle disease, any one of these individually, I would be interested in reading about.
Yeah.
I think it is good to limit your negative thoughts. And let's talk about how we do that. What are some negative thoughts that would be good to get rid of? Perhaps there are toxic relationships in your life that it would be good to let go of. Certainly let go of some of those connections. How do we evaluate our connections? How do we go about gracefully withdrawing from them?
Right.
Any of those by itself would be an interesting article, but it would take a depth of thought about that topic that this format or this creator clearly does not want to expend.
Yeah, the entire video is either 2 minutes or 4 minutes. It's very short.
And full disclosure, I say this as somebody who's been writing all my life, and there are definitely times when you're going to write about one topic and you think, oh man, I don't know what to say about this. It's going to be too much work. I'm just going to make a list of 10 things, and this will be one of them. Absolutely understand how this happens. But it's kind of a, simplify. Perhaps you could simplify and just present one of these.
Right.
And say something useful about it instead of word salad. Don't be expecting that from this podcast, by the way. I'm just saying generally.
Exactly.
Thank you for listening. You can find all our episodes on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com.
You can also talk to us on our Facebook page, on Instagram, or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat. And please visit our Amazon shop at amazon.com/shop/mamatude, where you can find links to a lot of the things we've talked about over the years.